so comfortable with you. I feel like
Margaritas are one of my all-time favorite cocktails. There are plenty of stories of who invented this cocktail, but none have ever been verified. While the history is a bit hazy, the margarita belongs in the Daisy family of cocktails. Interestingly enough, Margarita is Spanish for daisy. Daisy cocktails contain a base spirit, citrus, and sugar in the form of a liqueur. Margaritas are the perfect summer drink, and with summer just around the corner, I thought I'd like to share my favorite recipe for the best frozen margarita, which is more of a cross between a frozen margarita and a Margarita Sorbet. First, let's cover the basics. The classic margarita, with only 3 ingredients, there isn't much to hide behind, which is why the quality of ingredients is so important. I prefer using an aged tequila in my margaritas. I find they make a more balanced cocktail than the younger styles. I like a Reposado for this kind of cocktail. It has a much rounder flavor profile and works wonderfully in a frozen margarita. While you can use any orange liqueur of your choosing, I prefer Cointreau. Other styles of triple sec tend to have a bolder and sweeter orange flavor. I find Curacao to be a bit too heavy. I like just a hint of orange and sweetness to round out the drink. And of course, it goes without saying, fresh lime juice is a must here. I also like to spice mine up a notch by using a serrano pepper. It just lifts the flavor of the drink and gives it more staying power. Topping it off with a lime and pepper wheel and that classic salted rim, it's easy to see how delectable this cocktail is. And it's easy to see why so many variations of it have been made. One of my favorites being the frozen margarita. I love a frozen margarita, but they are a bit tricky to make. Because they are frozen, certain flavors shine more than others. If you just use a standard margarita recipe and add ice, the result will not taste the same as it would if you made it on the rocks. Dilution is another tricky area, but for me, the most difficult part is getting the texture right. Because of all of these obstacles, I have adapted my recipe to include agave nectar and also xanthan gum. Since the Cointreau becomes more muted from being so cold, agave helps to boost the sweetness level for the frozen margarita. Xanthan gum is a thickener that is used most frequently in gluten-free baking. It's become widely available and sold at most supermarkets. Xanthan helps stop large ice crystals from forming and makes the texture so much smoother and cohesive. To start, I'm going to need to juice about 3 limes to get 3 ounces of lime juice. I'm going to juice them over a mesh strainer to catch any pulp. Once I have 3 ounces of lime juice, I'm going to freeze it in my ice cube tray. Most recipes for frozen margaritas use lots and lots of ice. I find that too much ice overly dilutes the drink, so I like to mitigate that by substituting the extra half cup of ice with frozen lime juice. After the lime juice has frozen, we can start making this frozen margarita, which is more of a Margarita Sorbet. I use a Vitamix, but any high-powered blender should work for this. First, I'm going to add all the liquid components, starting with 1 ounce of agave. Followed by 1.5 ounces of Cointreau. Then I'll add 3 ounces of Reposado Tequila. Now I'll go ahead and start the blender. Then I'll add the xanthan gum. I find it's best to add the xanthan while the blender is running so that it doesn't clump up and that it gets thoroughly mixed in. I let it run for about 30 seconds. The xanthan instantaneously thickens the drink. Now I will add the frozen lime juice along with 3.5 cups of ice and start the blender on low. Then increase the speed to its highest setting. I let this blend until it's all smooth, around 45 seconds. Once all the ice has been pulverized, I'm going to pour it into a container with a lid. The shallower the container, the faster it will freeze. Now I'll just pop on the lid and let this freeze for about 12 hours. I check on it halfway through to make sure it's freezing evenly. The sides tend to freeze faster, so 6 hours in, I stir it all together to help it freeze evenly. Once it's frozen, it's ready to serve. I like to use an ice cream scoop to serve. It gives a great visual effect in the glass. For garnish, I'm going to add a lime wheel and a sprinkling of some flaky Maldon salt to tie it all together. This is a great way to end a meal for all those people out there who don't like dessert. I absolutely love it, even though I am a big dessert person. It has such a perfect creamy texture, like a good sorbet or ice cream, and the flavors are perfectly balanced, thanks to a little help from the agave. I am so looking forward to making this recipe again for friends and family as we start to get back to normal this summer. I hope you will get a chance to try this Margarita Sorbet, and let me know what you think in the comments. I love hearing how people tweak my recipes to fit their tastes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all again next week with another cocktail video. Have a great week.